And a happy Tuesday morning to you. It is Wake Up Wenatchee Valley here on the NCW Live channel. Eric Granstrom filling in for Dan Coots, and a good morning. And if you were sleeping earlier, a couple hours ago, and you thought maybe you had indigestion or maybe it was the dog, no, it was lightning and thunder here in the Wenatchee Valley. We'll tell you more about that, including a red flag warning in our forecast coming up in just a bit. Your latest local news on the way, including the identification of the two bodies found in a Wenatchee home over the weekend. And sports news. The All-Star break is underway with a home run derby last night for the West Coast League. How did Ryan Altenberger of your Wenatchee Apple Sox fare? We'll tell you coming up this morning on Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. Also coming up this morning, we'll have a special guest in studio, Erica Grissmerson of the Alzheimer's Association and Steve Reinholt of Oneonta Fruit to tell us about the event coming up in September here in Wenatchee, the Walk to End Alzheimer's. That's all to come. But first, as we start every show here on Wake Up Wenatchee Valley, we'll go around the Valley View cameras this morning. And those cameras were capturing some pretty interesting things a little bit ago. Provided by Sky-Fi, the wireless network provided by LocalTel. Of course, we start things off with our cross-camera view this morning. And you can see in the upper right-hand corner of the screen there, that system that is slowly rotating its way out of the Wenatchee Valley caused an interesting morning here about an hour and a half ago, but we'll be left with mostly fair skies here so far. There is a red flag warning. That means high winds, hot temperatures, and some thunder cells moving throughout the day until tonight. Details on your forecast coming up. That's camera 1 this morning from Sky-Fi. We'll go now to camera 2 and see what view we have. Oh, a split of ray of sunshine coming down, and I have no idea where this is, Megan. Oh, Chelan Falls. Okay. Looking upriver? Is that where we are? Okay. That's a new camera I don't know about from our Sky-Fi wireless network. So how about that? So if that's Chelan Falls, can that camera be rotated to look at Beebe Bridge? Or is that around the corner from this particular view? Okay, I was going to say, if we have that view, then we can see how many people are out fishing on the Columbia River this morning. But a ray of sunshine coming down on a blissful Columbia River there at Chelan Falls on camera 2. Camera 3 this morning will show us the view from, this is up, Stamilt? Jump off. Okay, looking down at the Stamilt Basin there. And gorgeous view this morning. Kind of gives you a good capture of the mix of weather we have this morning with the clouds and the sun mixed in, and of course the lush green valley provided by our fruit growers here in North Central Washington. To camera 4 we go of the Sky-Fi wireless network, and this is Nattipoc. Okay, hey, I got one right this morning. Beautiful view of the Bonneville power lines. Actually, interesting story that we see this here. My father, years and years ago, when he worked for Asplund, one of the largest privately owned companies in the world, worked on those power lines. See all that where it's all mowed down nice and flat underneath the power lines? That was my dad's job for about 10, 15 years with Asplund. He worked the machinery that went over and was contracted to cut down any of the brush and timber and things that were growing underneath the power lines to keep those out of the way of the power so that it would be delivered where it was supposed to go. So there you go, Nattipoc on our Sky-Fi wireless network as we look at our Valley View cameras this morning. Now, before we get to our weather forecast here this morning, speaking of the Sky-Fi wireless network and our Valley View cameras, we're able to swing around to the Olney Gardens camera this morning and point it up towards Horse Heaven Hills. And here you see, this was about 20 minutes after 5 this morning where it started. It lasted for about 20 minutes or so as it moved through. This is just a shortened version of this 10-minute video that we captured from Olney Gardens this morning, looking up over Horse Heaven Hills and up towards the Mission Ridge area. But yeah, lots of lightning strikes, and you see it there with the strikes connecting with the ground. We've been keeping a close eye on that camera as the clouds moved away and the lightning moved through to make sure there's no smoke that followed. The good news is there was rain showers heavily in that area as well at the time that the lightning strikes occurred. Now, for the National Weather Service and our forecast, we have a red flag warning in effect today until 11 o'clock tonight from the National Weather Service. That means hot temperatures, breezy winds, and thunder cells moving through all of eastern Washington. So And that's in effect until 11 o'clock tonight. We're looking for a high of 94 today. Pretty much with this cell that moved through this morning, we might have a couple of more that move through quickly here today, but I'm kind of guessing we've seen the brunt of it as far as Wenatchee is concerned. We'll see the clouds kind of linger overnight tonight, maybe a slight chance of showers with a low of 65. Tomorrow we're going to have breezy winds, sunny conditions, but cooler, thankfully, with a high of 85 tomorrow. As we look ahead, we'll warm up again. The warmest day of the week is probably going to be on Friday, and you see the mid-90s possible by Friday. By the way, speaking of which, we got up to, 96 yesterday, so it got pretty warm and cooking in the afternoon. The overnight low this morning was 50. Normally, this time of year, we're at 89 for the high, 63 for the low. The record high for today, 107 degrees, set in 2006. The record low was 49, set in 1963. Sunrise this morning was officially at 5:28, and sun will set tonight at 8:46. But lovely weekend forecast coming up with temperatures in the 80s for the highs, nighttime lows in the 60s. So we'll get through today. Cross our fingers that we don't have any smokes or lightning fires from the cell that moved through earlier this morning, about an hour and a half ago. But we'll, knock on wood on that one. That's your forecast here on the NCW Live Channel. Coming up, we have news on the way. Also, your latest sports. The Mariners actually won last night. I know. Pinch me. I can't believe it. And a fun, obscure holiday today. It's not really that obscure because it's neck and neck between this item and a similar item for the most popular. You lick it. I'll tell you about that coming up with our obscure holiday on the way here on the NCW Live Channel. Our news this morning brought to you by Confluence Health, dedicated to providing you with safe, quality health care to everyone in North Central Washington. Your latest local news is next on Wake Up Wenatchee Valley.
When the people you serve are your friends and family, you see the world a bit differently. You understand that your survival depends on the health and strength of your relationships. Your word is your reputation, and that doing the right thing is the only way of life that matters. At Confluence Health, we remain humble. Trust is a gift that is earned, a privilege, an honor. And we remain grateful for the trust you place in our hands.
The best pizza in the known universe is right here in downtown Chelan, so come on up. For the best locally crafted beer and barbecue in Chelan, come on up.
For the best down-home scratch country cooking in North Central Washington, you'll find it in Manson. Come on up.
Come on up. Come on up.
Come on up.
Good morning. Thanks for watching Wake Up Wenatchee Valley here on the NCW Live Channels. We're 8 minutes past the hour. Eric Granstrom filling in for Dan Kuntz here on the program this morning as we check your latest local news. Police have released the identities of two people whose bodies were discovered Sunday evening in their Wenatchee home. Captain Brian Chance says the man and woman were found dead inside the bedroom of the Highland Drive home after police responded to reports of a shooting. Chance says officers responded about 5:13 to a call that was originally dispatched as a request for medical aid, but Chance says officers quickly received information that a male was armed with a gun and shots had been fired inside the residence. Police from Wenatchee and East Wenatchee, along with sheriff's deputies from Chelan and Douglas counties, responded. On arrival, officers located two bodies inside a bedroom. Chelan County Coroner Wayne Harris has identified the male involved as 54-year-old Edgar Rodriguez of Wenatchee and the female 41-year-old Mikkel Rodriguez, also Wenatchee. Chance says the shooting remains under investigation, with additional witnesses being interviewed and evidence to be collected. He says the weapon believed to have been used in the shooting was recovered. Chance adds that the incident appears to be contained and that there is no threat to public safety. Well, the Kittitas County Sheriff's Office says an Ellensburg man and his horse were rescued Saturday after falling in a steep ravine in the Blewett Pass area. Kittitas County Sheriff's deputies, along with Kittitas County Search and Rescue, responded to the North Fork of the Teanaway River in the area of Stafford Creek, located about 20 miles northeast of Clallam, for the report of an overdue person that had been horseback riding in the area. 58-year-old Paul Maurer from Ellensburg had been dropped off on the morning of the 18th at the Stafford Creek trailhead with the intent of taking a day ride. When Maurer had not returned by 9 p.m., his friend called law enforcement and reported him as overdue. Search and rescue teams searched extensively throughout the day on the 19th and located Maurer in the area of Cascade Creek, approximately a half mile from the Ingalls Creek Trail. When Maurer was located, he was about 300 feet below the trail in a ravine with his horse. Now, due to the adverse terrain, a large amount of downed timber, and approaching darkness, Kittitas County Search and Rescue, along with personnel from Kittitas County Fire District 7, were able to reach Maurer on Saturday, the 20th, and extricate him from the area. Neither Maurer nor his horse suffered any injury, and both are home safe. Well, firefighters were able to quickly gain control of a brush fire Saturday that forced the closure of Highway 26 near Beverly Burke in Grant County. Fire burned about 65 acres and briefly forced the evacuation of 2 homes. It was one of several fires in Grant and Kittitas counties over the weekend. A fire at the landfill near Ephrata overnight Saturday was also quickly contained. And a fire Saturday along I-90 near the Thorpe Fruit Stand threatened several structures, and traffic on the interstate was backed up as drivers watched, the State Patrol reported. Level 3 evacuations were ordered for a few homes before the fire was contained. In addition, I-82, about 7 miles south of Ellensburg, was partially blocked Saturday afternoon by a brush fire on the hillside that was quickly contained. Well, the Chelan County Planning Commission will hold a vacation rentals public hearing from 7 to 9 this coming Wednesday at the Confluence Technology Center. Chelan County commissioners and staff will be discussing the next steps in moving forward with the management of short-term vacation rentals such as Airbnb, VRBO, and other online retail or rental options. Currently, there are no county regulations on short-term rentals in unincorporated areas, which has allowed homeowners to take advantage of renting out properties to guests for prices ranging from $20 to $1,000. The county is considering imposing regulations for vacation rentals, which include changes such as limiting number of guests and short-term rentals, requiring a local property representative who can address problems in a 30-minute period, and creating a fine system for violation of operations. The meeting will run as a public hearing, so no public testimony will be allowed. Well, we close out this morning's news by tapping into this week's NCW Life magazine, spotlighting Northwind Aviation, who was recently featured on the Discovery Channel's Diesel Brothers. Here's a peek into that episode.
Aviation's always been kind of a part of my life. So I had some downtime waiting to get into dental school or not. And I came up with this idea that maybe I could figure out a business model where that I could learn to fly a helicopter, have that helicopter pay for itself essentially, and have somebody train me. And that was my short-term business model, was to get a helicopter, get it on a cherry contract, and be able to provide a service and learn to fly in the interim. Didn't quite work out just like that.
Wenatchee native Ryan McDonald is the owner of the local company Northwind Aviation. From 7 years in the Army to the U.S. snowboard team to dropping out of dental school, his path to success is an interesting one. We'll learn more about Ryan's journey and the services he provides for farmers not only in north central Washington, but around the Pacific Northwest. With his experience in the air as a private pilot and skydiver, Ryan says this is when he developed his business plan. He set his sights on buying a helicopter while waiting to get into dental school.
I started Northwind with a single aircraft in 2011. My whole intent was to learn to fly a helicopter, and just spiraled out of control from there. Yeah, so my family, as I started doing this, thought it was a pretty risky endeavor. My dad, who is a farmer and a builder, he thought, do you understand how expensive helicopters are? And you need to go talk to some guys that have been doing this a long time. It was a great idea, I think, but what really ended up happening is it just, I made some commitments, and then the aircraft didn't work out, and I was in way over my head. I didn't know what I was doing, but I just willed it to work and stuck with it. Put the customer first, found alternate ways to fulfill my contracts, and then found that I was financially in a hole with some commitments, and so I doubled down and said, okay, well, I'm going to do it twice as good next year, and just kept growing. And the next thing I knew, here I am 7 years later. I did not get into dental school the first time, and I never reapplied, and ended up down this path. And I just, the raw ambition of making it happen. I'm competitive by nature, and I really don't like failing, and I'd gone down this path, and so I just had to really will it to work.
And you can see the NCW Life magazine with Caitlin Hedersheet, our producer, at 8:30 in the mornings and 4:30 in the afternoons right here on the NCW Life channel. Well, if you missed it this morning, we had quite a thunderstorm that moved through the valley in the 5 o'clock hour, and you can see with this video that's been shrunken down to about 30 seconds. It's about a 10-minute video. You want to watch the whole thing. It's on our Facebook page right now. But quite a storm that moved through this morning. Thankfully, it was accompanied by rain showers. We're watching these hillsides now to see if there's any smoke that follows these lightning strikes that were definitely air to ground here earlier this morning. Now, the National Weather Service has issued a red flag warning. That means with lightning cells, also high temperatures and high winds through the day today until 11 o'clock tonight, that red flag warning is in effect. So be very, very careful outdoors. Be very, very careful with anything that could ignite a spark and send flames in directions we don't want them to go. Definitely here in North Central Washington. That's your latest local news here on the NCW Life channel. Be sure and tune in for Grant Olson with the evening newscast here at 5, 6, and 10 o'clock. That's again 5, 6, and 10 here on the NCW Life channel, your local TV station. If you have something you'd like to let us know about, then you can reach us through our website, ncwlife.com. You can also find us on Facebook. Just do a search for NCW Life. That's NCWLIFE. You can also email us directly to our newsroom at news@ncwlife.com, or just pick up the phone and call us at 888-NCWL. That's 888-6295. It's 17 minutes past the hour here on Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. We'll take a quick break, come back, and your sports news comes your way next. Also, today's obscure holiday. We'll get today in history, birthdays, Mike Magnati with his opinion. It's all straight ahead on Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. Thanks for joining us.
I told Mr. Nielsen about Simon. He's the best doctor because I like the medicines like he gives me.
He asks like more questions, and that's why I feel like he's more interested in the health. For me, it means a lot. That means he really cares about, about him.
I like you, Simon, and you're my best friend.
After 21 years at the Lake Chelan Mailboxes store, Jerry and Sherry are ready to retire. Jerry and Sherry would like to thank everyone and give some lucky person a business opportunity. That's right, you could own a great small business in Lake Chelan with a proven track record. This includes FedEx, UPS, and USPS services, making it a unique offer. For information on buying Chelan mailboxes, call Jerry or Sherry, and while you're there, wish them well.
Well, we had a cloud cover move in overnight last night. Still warm this morning. 70 degrees outside our studios here as we're at 19 minutes past the hour. On Wake Up Wenatchee Valley, in for Dan Koontz, I'm Eric Granstrom with your latest local sports news here on the NCW Life channel. 12 participants representing each team of the West Coast League took part in the Home Run Derby last night at Vince Guinness Stadium. That's down in Bend, Oregon. Second to the left, you see Wenatchee's Derby participant, Ryan Altenberger, the 5'10", 165-pound junior from Xavier University. One of the smallest competitors in last night's contest, taking place during the All-Star break for the WCL.
Still spraying the beer garden. And that one with a chance there, heading deep to right field. Does it have enough? It does! With a bounce off a trampoline, seemingly. That one could have left the second yard on the bounce. Home run number 1 for Ryan Altenberg.
Thanks to the Apple Sox Facebook page and Joel Norman down there covering things for the Apple Sox. Ryan Altenberger hit 2 home runs in last night's game. The finals would come down to the host teams Gabe Gonzalez and Port Angeles slugger Matthew Christian.
For the first out for Christian. Hits one high to left center. Doesn't have enough on it. Way back. It does. 391 feet off the bat of Christian. For Christian, 1 home run through his first 5 swings in the finals. That one, though, way back on the line, and it is way out of here. 408 feet from Matthew Christian. He just needs 1 more home run to win the West Coast League Home Run Derby. That's not going to do it.
That last home run left in a hurry, 106-mile-an-hour exit velocity on that 408-foot blast.
This one is deep to the left field line. Fair, gone. Matthew Christian wins the West Coast League Home Run Derby with his 3rd in the finals. He's going to finish out his round. He's got 5 outs right now. And no, they're not going to let him finish the round. 3 home runs for Matthew Christian, gives him the win. Shakes hands with Gabe Gonzalez. They embrace.
There you go. Thanks to the Bend Elks Facebook page for the stream there. And Matthew Christian is the 2nd consecutive lefty to win the Home Run Derby. Ron Brown did it last year, launching one after another into Puget Sound for the lefties. There you see Christian along with Gonzalez and our commissioner, Rob Nyer. Altenberger, by the way, Cole McKenzie for the Apple Sox, Jake Somm, and Sam Wyatt will take part in tonight's West Coast League All-Star Game in Bend. You can watch it on the Elks Facebook page, if you will. Ryan Altenberger, good week for Ryan. He's down at the All-Star Game. He's also been selected the Moss Adams Player of the Week for the West Coast League. Altenberger went 7 for 19 while scoring 9 runs with 9 RBIs this past week for Wenatchee. He's helped lead the Apple Sox to an 8-4 record to begin the second half of the season. The Illinois native is hitting .297 on the season in 34 games so far this summer. The junior to be had a .259 batting average in 45 games this past year at Xavier. The West Coast League pitcher of the week is Kelowna's Matt Volsky. He only allowed 1 hit and had 12 strikeouts in 8 1/3 innings of work this past week. The Kelowna Hurlers 2-0 with a 1.39 ERA in 8 appearances so far this season. The talented two-way player for the Falcons has also appeared in 20 games this summer as an infielder. So there you go, the Moss Adams Players of the Week for the West Coast League. Well, former Wenatchee Apple Sox Marco Gonzalez shook off a couple of rough innings to start last night, settle in to go 7 frames to lead the Mariners past the Texas Rangers by a final of 7-3 at T-Mobile Park. Former Apple Sox bounced back from a rough outing in Anaheim a week ago to improve to 11-8 on the season. Gonzalez allowed 2 runs on 7 hits with 4 strikeouts and no walks in his 7 innings of work. Rookie Austin Nola continues to swing a hot bat as he connected on a 3-run home run to put Seattle up for good in the second inning. He finished 2 for 3 with those 3 RBIs. Kyle Seager also with a solo home run in the 8th inning for Seattle. Seattle and Texas go at it again tonight at 7:10 with former Apple Sox Tommy Malone on the mound to face the Rangers. Texas has not yet announced its starter for tonight's game. Taking a look at the American League West last night on the Les Schwab scoreboard, Yuli Gurriel and Alademus Diaz each homered in a 7-run 3rd inning. Houston blasted Oakland 11-1. Garrett Cole was the beneficiary on the mound, earning his 11th win, going 7 innings, allowing 1 run on 2 hits with 11 strikeouts. How about that? That's a quick look at the American League West scoreboard. Only 2 games in the books last night. The Angels were idle. Finally, this morning in sports, as the Seahawks prepare for their training camp to officially begin on Thursday, they learned yesterday they're going to be without a starting defensive tackle. Seattle defensive tackle Jaron Reed has been suspended for the first 6 games of the 2019 season for a violation of the NFL's personal conduct policy. Violation stems from a 2017 domestic violence case in which Reed was accused of assault. He was not charged or arrested. However, the NFL's personal conduct policy allows the league to punish players regardless of legal outcomes. The Seahawks said in a statement that they have, quote, followed league and law enforcement protocol since the alleged incident in April of 2017, end quote. In a statement posted on Twitter, Reed wrote that he totally disagrees with the NFL's ruling, but takes responsibility for the situation. So the Seahawks are going to be down one man as they start training camp this Thursday at the VMAC in Renton, and we are just a couple of weeks, really, going on 3 weeks away from the opener for the Seahawks as they'll host the Denver Broncos at CenturyLink Field 8th of August, and I believe that's a Thursday. Believe it or not, the first NFL game is, a week from Thursday, the 1st of August. Does it seem early? Yeah, I kind of think so. That's your sports news here as we are 26 minutes past the hour on Wake Up Wenatchee Valley for this Tuesday, 23rd of July, 2019. Again, a red flag warning in effect for today until 11 o'clock tonight for the National Weather Service. That's a combination of high winds, high heat, and low humidity. And we already had a storm cell move through the area this morning in the 5 o'clock hour that certainly woke up a lot of folks up in the Horse Heaven Hills area and the foothills of the Wenatchee Valley with several lightning strikes that struck the ground, and we're fingers crossed on no fire starts from that particular cell that moved through. Coming up on Wake Up Wenatchee Valley, just a programming note, if you missed Saving Rihanna, that 1 hour special we did with the news department and Caitlin Hedersheet leading the charge on that particular show, it's really interesting programming. Be sure and watch tomorrow night, 8 o'clock here on the NCW Life channel. It'll be on again Thursday afternoon at 1, and then Saturday night at 10 o'clock following baseball. Speaking of baseball and sports, the Wenatchee Apple Sox will have our third of 4 broadcasts here on the NCW Life channel coming up Saturday afternoon or evening at 6:15 as they'll take on the Portland Pickles here on the NCW Life channel, your television home for the Wenatchee Apple Sox. All right, let's get to today's obscure holiday. It's National Vanilla Ice Cream Day. And according to the statistics, chocolate has just a narrow edge in front of vanilla for the most popular flavor of ice cream in the world. Now, I didn't get a chance to ask Megan McPherson, our person behind the buttons here this morning, as always on Wake Up Wenatchee. Megan, do you like ice cream, first of all? Can you eat ice cream? There's a lot of folks that are lactose intolerant that can't do it. Oh, absolutely, she says. Okay, so is vanilla your favorite? What's your favorite flavor? Oh, I stumped her on that one. Rocky Road, okay. Yeah, I'm not a fan of marshmallows. I've never been a fan of marshmallows. So, oh, you love chocolate. Okay, so you're the one that would put chocolate just in front of vanilla, as far as. See, I like vanilla, and that picture right there. You know, you can't go wrong with apple pie a la mode. Oh yeah, nice warmed piece of pie with a dollop of ice cream as it starts to melt and kind of mingle in with the pie residue in the bottom of the. Oh, now I'm getting hungry. But vanilla ice cream day today. So it's National Vanilla Ice Cream Day. Well, and what better way to celebrate summer than getting yourself a big scoop of vanilla ice cream? So for me, I'm plain, I'm regular. I like vanilla ice cream with a little chocolate syrup sauce on top, and that's it. I'm happy. I'll also, there's people that make milkshakes. You know, they get the blender out and they make it up real special. I'll just put ice cream, a little vanilla ice cream in a glass. I'll put the chocolate sauce on top. I'll pour some milk in, and I'll just stir it up so it's nice and kind of thick and clumpy with a spoon, and then eat it, drink it that way, and I'm a happy camper. Vanilla Ice Cream Day. Celebrate. Get out. Megan, if we didn't have the storm this morning, I was actually going to bring some in and serve it here live on the show so you can come in and enjoy it. But we had the storm come in and it kind of messed things up, so I apologize for that. National Ice Cream Day today. Yeah. So we'll do that later, though, after we get off the air. Yes. This day in history. It is the 23rd of July, 2019. On this date, 1829, to be exact, William Austin Burt patented America's first, he called it a typographer. It's the first typewriter, if you will. Now, that doesn't look much like a typewriter, does it? Kind of looks like a clock and a record player combined. But he patented it on this date that, so just think about that. If we didn't have the invention, or at least the patent by Mr. Burt, we wouldn't have gone to the typewriter, which begat the keyboard, which begat the keyboard on your cell phone, which begat being able to text people. So you got to thank Mr. Burt today. Oh, and by the way, this invention that he patented in 1829, it was a miserable failure as far as production and selling and making any money for him. But we did find the first typewritten note that came out of this particular typewriter. Megan, let's see what that says here. It says, "Dear Mr. Burt, I quit. Sincerely, Beulah Friedrichsen." Apparently Beulah was his secretary and didn't like all the late hours of trying to get the patent paperwork all done. Because she had to do it by hand before he invented this machine. And this is the first typewritten note. Or not. It was on this date in, where are we here? Oh, 1966. Hey, Frank Sinatra's Strangers in the Night, #1 in the U.S. charts, and eventually won a Grammy of Record of the Year, Best Male Vocal Performance. Oh, we got to listen to some Frank this morning. Strangers in the Night. Yes, Frank Sinatra. You can't do any better than Frankie. Yes. On this date in 1966, #1 was Strangers in the Night. Also, on this date in 1995, separately by Alan Hale and Thomas Bopp, Hale-Bopp comet was discovered and first visible by the naked eye. It was a record for that kind of a comet to be seen by the naked eye. 18 months we could see it from Earth's atmosphere, twice as long as the previous record holder. Of course, then we had all the weird stuff that happened. There was people that claimed that there was an alien spacecraft in the tail of the comet, and then of course we had the ridiculous people that the Heaven's Gate cult committed suicide, thinking the aliens were going to pick them up and things like that. Hale-Bopp, discovered on this date in 1989. Celebrating birthdays today, as we here on the 23rd day of July. Alison Krauss having a birthday today. Happy birthday to Allison. Man, believe this or not, tied with Quincy Jones is the most awarded in living recipient of Grammys. 27 total. Alison Krauss is 47 today. Former Seattle Supersonic. He also played for a lot of other teams. Gary the Glove Payton is having his birthday today, and he was born on this date in 1968. So Gary Payton having a birthday, and he is, 51 today. So happy birthday to Gary Payton. Also, Woody Harrelson, the actor, is celebrating his birthday today. He was born on this date in 1961, so that would make him 57. Happy birthday to Woody. And we had a submission from a viewer who wanted to wish her dad a happy birthday. This came to Barb, letting us know that Jerry Smits is 95 years young today. There you see him. Oh, we kind of cut Barb's face off there, but Barb's in there along with her brothers, John and Paul, and Jerry Smits, celebrating 95 today. Happy birthday to Jerry. We are at 33 minutes past the hour. We got to scoot here because we got Mike Magnotti with his opinion, and also we'll be talking about a special event, the Walk to End Alzheimer, straight ahead on Wake Up Wenatchee Valley for a Tuesday. Stay right there. It's estimated that 1/3 of Americans do not have a financial plan. At D.A. Davidson, their advisors are working to change that because they understand the importance of planning for the future. At D.A. Davidson, they believe in partnering together to build a strategy tailored to your needs. They spend the time and have the knowledge to help keep your financial future on track. Let D.A. Davidson Financial Advisors of Wenatchee put the strength of advice to work for you.
How much are you paying for adult, family, or assisted living? Epladolin Retirement and Assisted Living offers one-bedroom apartments for one affordable price. Their rates are all-inclusive, no nickel or diming or sudden increases, just one set price. You or your loved one will receive good food and excellent care in a relaxed, home-like environment. Stop on by for a tour to see if the Epladolin family is the right choice for you.
Family-owned and operated Epladolin Retirement and Assisted Living in Cashmere. Affordable care.
Mike Mad Dog Magnati, and everybody is entitled to my opinion. Now, let's say somebody does something good, like help win World War II, but on the other hand, they display racist and white supremacist tendencies. Now, does Winston Churchill come to mind? Or let's say someone else devotes their life to serving the poor of Calcutta, but they're also accused of not supplying adequate pain meds because of her belief that the poor need to suffer like Christ. Now, does Mother Teresa come to mind? Now, let's face it, we're all human, and even the best of us has our dark spots. Sometimes we need to recognize human weakness and realize that none of us totally measures up. But I don't care how great of a comedian or a father you are. If you drug and rape women, you've crossed the line. Does Bill Cosby come to mind? This is Mike Mad Dog Magnati, and that's my opinion.
Hey friends, this is the Discovery Center at Rocky Reach Dam, where things look exactly like they did in the 1960s. Say cheese! Turns out the way people learn has changed a lot since then.
Gee, Pop, that lecture was swell.
It's about time to create some new and exciting ways to interact with the story of the PUD and our valley. We'll be closed next year while we make some magic happen. So stay tuned. We'll keep you posted on the journey.
And thanks for joining us here on a Tuesday edition of Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. Eric Granstrom filling in for Dan Kuntz here on the second day of the work week. And coming up very soon, in fact, it'll be upon us before we know it, is a special event here in Wenatchee regarding Alzheimer's, and in to talk to us about Alzheimer's in general and specifically this Walk to End Alzheimer's coming up in September. We have Erica Grissmerson with the Alzheimer's Association. Did I get that right?
Yep.
Okay. Right. And Steve Reinholt, who is with Oneonta, which is one of the big sponsors of the event coming up in September.
That's correct, yes.
Okay, all right. Well, thank you much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
So first, tell us about your position with the Alzheimer's Association and specifically regarding this walk coming up.
Yeah, so I'm the walk manager, and I am the one that plans all the Walk to End Alzheimer's for North Central Washington. So the walk for Wenatchee will be in Wenatchee, but it's for, Douglas County, Chelan County, Okanagan County. We have people that come from OMAC, kind of all over for this walk here in Wenatchee. And it'll be at Pybus Public Market on September 21st.
Okay.
And we would love for people to come.
Now, why are you involved with Alzheimer's Association?
So Alzheimer's is a progressive and fatal brain disease. Currently, there is no cure for Alzheimer's. There's no way to prevent Alzheimer's, and there's no way to slow it down. It is one of the only diseases in that nature that there is no solution right now. So for me, that means we need to have hope. We need to move forward. We need to raise funds. We need to do something to try and find a cure for this. And while we're finding a cure for this, we need to support those people that are suffering for it, or suffering with it.
Yeah. It's, I heard stats, stats, I don't know if they're true or not, but Alzheimer's is the third leading cause of death in the state of Washington now?
That's correct.
Wow.
Yeah, we have about 110,000 people currently suffering with Alzheimer's in the state of Washington.
Okay. For those who don't know, I talked about it a little bit earlier this morning here on Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. My mother has dementia, and dementia is kind of the umbrella for Alzheimer's, right?
Yes.
Alzheimer's is kind of a form of dementia?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, and dementia is considered a syndrome where Alzheimer's is considered a disease. So the differentiation there. It's awful, no matter what. Speaking of which, Steve, tell us about how you're involved on the Oneonta side and why you personally are involved.
Well, Oneonta Star Ranch Growers is a supporter and a sponsor of the walk, and has been for several years. Our family's been involved in the walk now for 5 years or so, something like that. We've been happy to be a big part of that, and really enjoy working with the group at the association. And my father's involved with the board of directors there, and so we're pretty deeply involved. We lost my mother to the disease in December of 2017, and my mother-in-law is currently suffering at this time.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Wow. So it's definitely affected your family all the way through.
No question. Yeah.
And we got Bob in the background here. Bob's not on camera, but he's back here making sure that we get it all straight. Now, before we get to the actual walk coming up, and there's teams involved and fundraising and things like that, and that's why we have them in now here in August or July to talk about it, and the event's not for a couple of months away. But fundraising element to it starts, well, actually it's already underway. But before we get to that and the specifics about the event coming up in September, Alzheimer's Association provided us with a video that we've kind of snipped up a little bit here, but it'll give you a good indication of why this walk is important. So let's take a look.
10 days after our 25th anniversary, she got diagnosed with young onset Alzheimer's. In 2009, I joined a support group at the Alzheimer's Association, which I still go to, you know, a year and a half after Terry's gone. The following year, 2010, my son Lennon signed up for the Alzheimer's Walk and said, "Hey, Dad, you want to do this with us?" And I go, yeah, of course. And you know, I had a goal of like $500, and within the first 20 minutes on Facebook, you know, I was like at $3,000. It was an opportunity for me to tell people too that didn't know, and I think that's the most important thing I did, was share her story. That year we ended up raising like, you know, $22,000. I'm going, this is crazy. As a team, we raised that. It became what I did in the fall. I mean, I would raise money for Alzheimer's Association, and I would honor my wife at the same time. And she walked with us 2010, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 6 years. I get to share Terry with everybody again. I get to let everybody know what a wonderful woman she was. I get to talk about her and get, you know, it's selfish too, because I get this outpouring of love, which I just absorb.
Well, the white flower, they say it's for the first survivor of Alzheimer's. What it means to me is, despite the relationship Hope and I have with each other, I guess I can have hope for the future.
What if I take the purple and you take the yellow?
Perfect.
In Washington State alone, there are about 335,000 families and friends who are caregivers, unpaid.
3, 2, 1.
It's Wake Up Wenatchee Valley here for this Tuesday, and Alzheimer's is our discussion, and it should be probably a discussion for especially Washingtonians. For whatever reason, it seems our state is afflicted with this disease more so than any other state, or at least the death rates is higher, and it is crazy what's happening here with this particular disease. And if you don't know more about it, you can find out more about it coming up September 21st. Tell us about the Walk to End Alzheimer's and why even those who are not impacted by this should be involved in this.
Yeah, so the Walk to End Alzheimer's is our main fundraiser for the association. So the walk funds our cure research. It funds our 24/7 helpline. So anybody suffering with Alzheimer's or their family members or caregivers can have access to master level clinicians to talk to anytime. It funds our education programs, our support programs, awareness, everything related with Alzheimer's and trying to help people that are suffering from it. So the walk is our primary fundraiser for that. And it really captures, the spirit of the community coming together to support a disease that there is no cure for, there is no solution for right now. So many people are affected by it currently, and if you're not, the chances that you will be are pretty high. Yeah, okay. So not only, like Steve here has mom had it, but then now his mother-in-law, right?
Yeah.
She has it too. So whether it's in your own family or you marry into it or your friends or your family, there's always going to be somebody you know that has Alzheimer's or has been affected by it. And you'd be surprised when you talk about it, how many people are truly affected by it.
Well, I think that also, and I don't know what the statistics say, but for example, my dad is the main caregiver for my mother. And I'm sure that's probably more the case than not, where it's a family member that has to step in and help with the situation. Steve, if you're willing to, can you tell us about your mom and how you guys first figured that something wasn't quite right there?
Well, it kind of started in the normal way, in that she was kind of a little bit forgetful and misplacing things and that sort of thing. And Dad, of course, was the first one to notice it at the time they were living in Arizona. And we were only, around it occasionally. And so they went to a doctor, had some tests done, and a few things. She was diagnosed in 2011, I think. And shortly after that, they moved up here. Her progression was slow. We were fortunate with that. But it does progress, and it becomes the obvious signs that you see and you hear about.
When did she pass?
December of 17.
And I don't mean to do this to you, but because it's important for people to know, and what you said too, that this is incurable right now anyway, and hopefully with the research we're doing and getting done, that we'll get some sort of at least help. What was the end like for Mom?
Well, that's difficult. She did eventually have to be placed in a managed care facility. That was fortunately a relatively short period of time, about 6 months. So,
wow. I know that there's various stages, and for our family anyway, with my mother, it's a case of, oh, that makes sense. Once the diagnosis actually happened, then it's like, oh, yeah, okay, now that explains why this and why that and what was going on. And then you start backtracking, for us anyway, and it was like, holy cow, she's been dealing with this a lot longer than when she was actually diagnosed. And, she's in late stage dementia now, and we're teetering on that edge of, we need more help here. And thankfully there's help available, especially with the resources, because you can feel like you're on a deserted island all by yourself and there's nothing out there. But I mean, just the phone line itself, and to be able to access these professionals to help you with resources and tools and ways to understand what's happening is huge.
It is, and we, besides the 24/7 helpline, we offer like support groups where the family members can go and have a moment to grieve and talk to each other and work out some struggles that they're having and know that they're not alone. We offer the 10 signs, the 10 warning signs, so that people can learn more about it and be able to have that conversation with their spouse. We help them what to say and how to say it. We encourage talking to your doctor as early as possible. All of those items we offer free of charge. We want to help the community. We want to help the people out there suffering for that. And the Walk to End Alzheimer's is what funds all of that.
Okay. So if we could talk a little bit about the Alzheimer's Association before we get into the specific walk. So it's here in Wenatchee?
So we don't have an office here. So the Alzheimer's Association is national. My office personally is in the Tri-Cities. We have offices in Spokane, Tri-Cities, Linwood, and Tukwila. But we do have our care navigators, they come down. We have support programs here in Wenatchee. We work a lot with Aging and Adult Care of Central Washington. They're huge supporters of ours. We host programs in their facilities. They help spread the word. They help promote and offer space for these support groups. So we are present here, just I don't have my office here.
Okay.
But we're always here. We have our committee meetings here. We meet regularly. We have lots of volunteers that provide the programs that are here locally. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
How long has the walk in Wenatchee been going on? Do you know?
Ooh, good question.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay. I know it's been a few years
It's been
now.
a few years.
And you said Anianna's been involved pretty much since we started that.
Our family's been involved for about 5 years. I don't know exactly when it's.
Okay, yeah, and that makes about sense because I think Pybus has been the location for it, and Pybus has been around about that amount of time. So let's talk about what's coming up on September 21st and what people could do right now to get involved for this event.
Yeah, so right now the biggest thing you could do is register a team. So the idea is that you create a team, you know, Walking for Mom or Team Dad or something like that, and it's kind of like the rallying umbrella. So you create a team, you go to our website, it's act.alz.org/Wenatchee. And again, this isn't just a Wenatchee walk, it's for all the counties and surrounding areas. You create a team, and then you start inviting your friends, your family, your coworkers, your peers, join your team, support you in this cause, walk with us. It doesn't cost anything to walk. You don't have to fundraise. We definitely encourage it because that's how we, pay for all of our programs. But then you start fundraising. We made it as easy as possible. Once you get registered, you'll have access to all the tools you could possibly need. There's a button you can just shoot the Facebook fundraiser over to Facebook. It links right up. You can get donations that way. You can host events. You can do yard sales or bake sales. Pretty much anything you can think of, really, and just try and get support from your friends and your family, and really encourage them to come with you and walk with you and support, this cause.
It can kind of seem rather daunting right now, considering that, as you mentioned, there's no cure for this. But where are we on research and education as far as I think it all, as we're seeing with the various forms of cancer, once they figure out how it starts, then they can back up and go, okay, now we can try to attack this.
Yeah, so actually it's good timing. We just finished up our AAIC conference, which is like the largest conference of the scientific world coming together on Alzheimer's research. So a lot of things have come out with that. There'll be more coming out with the press releases and all of that. I don't know it all off the top of my head because it's literally going on.
And that was in Los Angeles, I think.
Yeah. So lots of progress, lots of hope. We're looking at blood tests, that kind of stuff, to be able to identify. There's a lot of information coming out about healthy living and slowing the onset of it. So it's kind of a tricky field.
It is.
But healthy living is showing promise. So being eating healthy, being active, being mentally active, those types of things.
Yeah, and I think one thing that we learned from Mom's situation in our family is that, and something that we didn't recognize, that we didn't see, is that Mom was depressed for a long time, and the doctors have said, yeah, that can be the lone thing that can kick this in, and it's so frustrating because and speaking of frustrating, and that's the thing that's great about the team aspect of this walk, is that this can be, as I mentioned, such an isolating thing, and for friends of family and for relatives, because you feel so helpless. What can I do? What can I do? Well, here's something you can do. Be a part of the team and get involved.
Yeah, absolutely. And Bob and Steve's team, they get lots of participants. Their whole family rallies together. They're one of our largest fundraising teams. So anybody can do it. I mean, you can get your friends, your family, people not even in the state. You can get them to donate and join you. They can register for the walk in their own state. I mean, we have over 600 different walks across the nation, so there's always a way you can get involved.
Tell me about what that feels like to be part of that day, to be part of that walk.
Well, for us, we try to make it kind of a rallying point for friends that we don't see all the time and family that are outside the area and what have you. So we have friends and family that come in from as far away as Minnesota, and we just make a weekend out of it. Yeah. It's really fun. It's good. We look forward to it.
I wanted to ask real quick about the flowers. You saw in that video they have the flowers. I had one on my desk. There's different colors and they represent different things. Now, purple is kind of the color for Alzheimer's Association, right?
Yeah. Okay. Purple's our color. And then the flowers, they do represent different things. And on Walk Day, that is probably one of the most powerful moments, is when everybody's holding up their flower for how they've been impacted. So the blue flower represents somebody with Alzheimer's. The purple flower is, I've lost somebody to Alzheimer's. There's a lot of purple flowers in the audience. The yellow flower is, I'm caregiving for somebody with Alzheimer's. I mean, currently there's 348,000 unpaid caregivers in the state of Washington. Yeah. So that's a huge amount of people not getting paid that are caring for their family members, like your dad. And then the orange flower is, I don't have a connection, but I support the cause. I support a world without Alzheimer's. And so on Walk Day, we hold up our flowers, and it's just this sea of color, and it's really powerful to see how many people have been impacted and have come together.
How does that work to get a flower? Is that you pay like $5 or something?
Nope. Everybody gets a flower.
Okay.
So when you register, you go in and you pick your flower, and we hold it up and we show our support.
Okay, we're going to get you the website again, which is the way to sign up for being a team coming up the Wenatchee Walk to End Alzheimer's. And as Erica mentioned, it's for Chelan, Douglas, Okanagan counties. So we've got folks that'll be coming in on September 21st from all over the place to Pybus Public Market. What time does it start that day?
So registration starts at 8 a.m.
Okay.
And we, then we start the opening ceremony, and then we start walk, I think, about 10 a.m. So there's time to, see our vendors and, talk to each other and share your stories. And the ceremony is very powerful as well. So I encourage people to make sure that they're there early to see that and be part of that. And then we walk, and it's really cool to see everybody walking together.
Yeah. I don't know how I'm going to. I've been asked to speak about our family situation with that, and I'm a big softie, so I get all choked up all the time thinking about it. But it's interesting that you guys come in right now to talk about this, and this is the topic at hand, because my dad, it's mom is where she is. I mean, that's the way it is. Our dad is the one that we're worried about, probably more than mom, really. And we just learned about care support that's available through the state of Washington in a pilot program, basically, that we had no idea existed. And I've been beating the phones for a year to try to get some help out there. So I'll tell more about that story on September 21st. So, we literally he just had a home inspection and everything else. See, and that's the thing too, with my family, they live on the family homestead, that's been in our family since the 1800s. It's a rural location in Western Washington, and you start adding all those things, and there's roadblocks in getting help, physically, let alone the mental roadblocks that go on there. So if you would like to be part of the Walk to End Alzheimer's coming up on September 21st, get your team together now, start doing some fundraising, and be part of that event, special event at Pybus Public Market on that Saturday, the 21st of September. Give us the website again for folks so they can go sign up.
So it's act.alz.org/Wenatchee.
And that will be specifically for this. Steve, thank you for coming in and sharing part of your family's story, and my sympathies and condolences to you. I know firsthand what that's like. And we'll have a gathering point at Pybus Public Market for those that have also been touched by this disease that is just a horrible, horrible thing. Erica, thank you for coming up from the Tri-Cities, and we'll see you on that Saturday as well.
Indeed.
Okay,
yes,
there we go. It's Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. We'll come back and wrap up this Tuesday edition next here on the NCW Life channel.
We're here because of the children, because the children need to be protected. Their needs aren't being met.
They didn't ask for any of this stuff. It's not their choices that got them here.
The more adults that a child has that love them, the better off they are.
Children need a whole community to raise them. And if we can do any little thing, it makes a big difference in the child's life.
Thanks for joining us for Wake Up Wenatchee Valley here on this Tuesday, 23rd of July, 2019. Thanks again to Erica Grissmerson and to Steve Reinholt of Oneonta for joining us here to talk about that Walk to End Alzheimer's coming up on Saturday, September 21st at Pybus Public Market. Before we end the show today, let's talk about our forecast. We have a red flag warning from the National Weather Service in effect until 11 o'clock tonight. Looking at sunny skies, hot temperatures, low humidity, and gusty winds. And that combines to create the red flag warning, reaching for a high of 94 today. Tonight, we'll see lows down in the 60s with some cloudy skies continuing. Tomorrow, breezy and cooler, 85 for the high tomorrow. So we're dropping almost 10 degrees between today's high and tomorrow's high. And then we'll warm back up again by Thursday and Friday, and then moderate over the weekend with highs in the upper 80s to around 90, nighttime lows in the 60s. And that is just about normal for this time of year. We're at 70 degrees and a few clouds here in the Wenatchee Valley. As you can see in our Valley View cameras, that we did have a thunder cell move through overnight last night, or actually this morning in the 5 o'clock hour. If you want to see that whole 10-minute video, there's some cool lightning strikes in there. I don't like to see them. We hope they don't create any fires, but they're kind of cool to look at. So you can see it on our Facebook page. Just search NCW Life and like us while you're there too. Now, coming up tomorrow on the show, we'll be joined by Stacy Lukensmeyer and Ron Nielsen. So be sure and tune in for Wake Up Wenatchee Valley on a Wednesday. Have a great Tuesday. We'll see you later.